So now the three types of the root system I will be dealing here. One, taproot system, then fibrous root system, the third one, adventitious root system. So let's start first with the taproot one. Now in this type of the root system, the primary root is formed due to the growth, due to the elongation of radicle. तो इस रूट सिस्टम का origin कैसे होगा? Yes, how the origin is there? The primary root is formed due to the growth of the radicle, due to the elongation of radicle. Right? So let's say this is primary root जो radical से बनी है. ये मैंने बनाई है primary root, radical से form हुई है. This primary root, it is also known as taproot. Taproot. Now from the primary root arises secondary roots. तो ये देखिए इस primary root से ये secondary roots arise हो रही हैं. Yes? So I can mention them as secondary roots. For the secondary, I will be writing this. Secondary roots से arise होंगी tertiary roots. Yes? तो ये मैं बना रही हूँ tertiary roots. Yes, these one, they are tertiary roots, and the tertiary roots, they will form ultimate branches. Yes, so the tertiary roots, they form ultimate branches, and these ultimate branches, they are known as rootlets. Primary root, secondary, tertiary and rootlets together it constitutes the taproot system. और यहाँ पर मैंने जितनी भी roots बनाई है उसमें से जो root hairs है they are present on the rootlets. Root hairs is the feature of the rootlets of the young roots, and these branches they are involved in the water absorption. Now coming to the second category, that is the fibrous one. In the fibrous one, the primary root is formed from the radicle, but this primary root will degenerate. Primary root bani radicle se, but this primary root degenerates. When the primary root degenerates, so now from where the root system will arise? The root system will arise from base of the stem. Yes. So let's say this is stem. Primary root degenerate hogi, and from the base of the stem, the roots they will arise. And you can see here, the roots which are formed here, they are thin. They are thin, almost of equal size. They are giving fiber-like appearance. They are giving fiber-like appearance. That's why, what is the name of the root system? It is known as fibrous root system. तो यहाँ पर root कहाँ से arise हो रही है? From the base of stem. Now coming to the next category, that is the adventitious one. Radicle के अलावा अगर कहीं से भी रूट अराइज हुई तो ऐसी रूट को हम कहेंगे एडवेंटिशियस रूट. द रूट विच अराइजेस फ्रॉम पार्ट अदर than the radical that is the adventitious root. Now one very important example, one very common example for this is bryophyllum. In the bryophyllum, the roots they arise from leaves. So I am making the leaf of bryophyllum here. Yes. So this is the leaf of the plant. That is bryophyllum. Bryophyllum के अंदर जो margins हैं, yes, margins के ऊपर आप देख रहे हैं this presence of the notches. Over the notches there is presence of buds like this. Though I will discuss the bud in detail while dealing with the stem. While dealing with the stem, I will discuss it in detail. But you might be knowing what actually bud is. This bud is our embryonic shoot. Yes, this is our immature shoot. When this bud grows, ये जब bud grow करती है, grow करने के बाद ये बनाएगी shoot system, and on the lower side of the leaf there is formation of the root system. तो अब यहां पर आप देख रहे हैं कि रूट बन रही है लीफ से. So if the roots they are formed from the part other than the radical, such type of the roots you will call them as adventitious one. So this was all about the origin. Yes, about the origin of the roots. ये कहां से अराइज हुई? टैप रूट रेडिकल से. ये कहां से अराइज हुई? बेस ऑफ द स्टेम से. एंड दिस इज फ्रॉम द पार्ट अदर देन द रेडिकल. नाउ लेट्स स्टडी द नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, दैट इज थिननेस ऑफ द रूट. टैप रूट सिस्टम के अंदर जो प्राइमरी रूट है दैट इज थिक. प्राइमरी रूट इज थिक. यहां पर जो सेकंड केस है, यहां पर जो रूट्स है दे आर थिन फाइब्रस रूट. और थर्ड केस के अंदर द रूट्स विच आर फॉर्म दे कैन बी थिन, एंड इन सम ऑफ द केसेस यू विल सी द रूट्स दे आर ऑल्सो थिक, प्रोवाइडिंग द सपोर्ट टू द प्लांट. Now the another one, position क्या है इन roots की? This root is underground. This root is underground, below the ground, and these roots can be above as well as below ground. So now we can cite the examples where these type of the roots they can be present. Now the taproot system, this is present in dicots. Yes. So you please write this. They are present in dicots. Along with the dicots, they are also present in gymnosperms. Dicots and gymnosperms. The fibrous roots, they are present in the monocots. Yes, these are in the monocots. Now coming to the adventitious one, they can be present in dicot, monocot as well as pteridophytes. So here we are discussing morphology in the flowering plants. So you know, amongst the flowering plants, only the two groups are there, that is the dicots and monocots. Rest of the groups, they are the lower group of plants. So this is all about the different types of the root system. So now after this, now I will be dealing with the modification of the root system. So here now I will be dealing with the modification of the root system, and first of all I will be discussing the modification of taproot. Now the main function of the root, is that it is involved in the water absorption, it is involved in the mineral absorption, but sometimes along with these functions, the roots, they modify, they change their structure and shape to perform several other functions. Like they can be involved in the storage of food, they can be involved in the nitrogen fixation, respiration, as well as they can also be reproductive in nature. So here I will be discussing modified taproot. Under this I will be dealing taproot for the purpose of storage, right? Then for the purpose of respiration, then nitrogen fixation, as well as reproduction. So first of all, the modification of the taproot for the purpose of storage. This one I will discuss here. So for the purpose of the storage, now the first category which I will be dealing here, that is conical root. तो देखिए conical root के अंदर क्या होगा. ये मैंने बनाई है reduced stem. Yes, this is reduced stem. It is in the form of the disc. You know that generally the stem is long, it is divided into the nodes and internodes, but here in this case the stem is reduced, it is in the form of a disc, and this type of the stem, it is known as a caulscent stem. Caulscent stem. अब ये जो डिस्क है, इस डिस्क के ऊपर प्रेजेंट है लीव्स. Over the disc, there is presence of leaves. Disc के ऊपर, reduced stem के ऊपर जो leaves present होती हैं, these leaves, they are known as radical leaves. Now here, there is presence of the primary root. Yes? So this is primary root. This one is primary root, and this primary root, it is involved in the storage. This is involved in the storage of the food, and the secondary roots, they are reduced. So you can see here the lateral roots, the secondary roots, they are reduced here. Right? So in this case you can see what is the shape of the taproot. The shape of the taproot is like a cone. It has conical shape. That's why it is known as conical root. Now this conical root is present in carrot. Yes? The example is very well known to you. This is present in carrot. The scientific name, that is Decus carota. Right? So after the conical, now the second category in storage only. So this is the second category in the storage, that is This is reduced stem, disc shape. Disc shape stem के ऊपर जो leaves present है, we call these leaves as radical leaves. Now on the lower side, so now the part which is involved in the storage. Yes, so this part which is involved in the storage, you can see what is the shape. The shape here is spindle shape. So spindle shape is there. That's why this type of the root, it is known as fusiform type. Fusiform root. And this fusiform root, it is present in reddish. So our example, you write here, that is reddish. Now, one point you please see here, it's very important point to be noticed down here, कि यहाँ पर ये वाला जो part है, जो storage में involved है, this is primary root. Yes, this part which is involved in the storage, this is primary root, and over it, yes, over it you will see that the secondary roots which are present, they are reduced. But you might have noticed in the reddish that here in the upper part, ये जो upper वाला part है, यहाँ पर secondary roots absent है. Yes, in the upper part, the secondary roots, they are absent. So the part where secondary roots are absent, that is not the primary root. Here, this part which is involved in the storage, this is hypocotyl. So please keep this in mind that in the case of the fusiform root, two parts, they are involved in the storage, that is the primary root, and the another one is hypocotyl. Now coming to the next category, everything is same. That is disc shaped stem. फिर उसके ऊपर present होंगी radical leaves. Now on the lower side, the part which is involved in the storage. Yes, this one. This is the part which is involved in the storage. It is spherical in shape, almost. It is spherical, subspherical in shape, and this type of the root, it is known as napiform root. Napiform storage root. And this napiform storage root, it is present in the turnip. Yes? So write this example. Turnip. Now, in this case, you can see that in the turnip, only in the lower part, yes, only in this part, there is presence of the secondary roots which are reduced. तो ये जो part जहां पर secondary roots present है, this part is going to represent the primary root involved in the storage. प्राइमरी रूट स्टोरेज के अंदर इन्वॉल्व है, पर ऊपर वाले पार्ट के अंदर आप देखेंगे द सेकेंडरी रूट्स दे आर एब्सेंट. सो द पार्ट वेयर सेकेंडरी रूट्स दे आर एब्सेंट, दैट स्टोरेज पार्ट इज नॉट द टैप रूट, दैट इज नॉट द प्राइमरी रूट. यस, देन व्हाट इज द स्टोरेज पार्ट? दैट इज hypocotyl. So clear? So in the case of fusiform as well as in the napiform root, along with the primary root, the part which is involved in the storage, that one is hypocotyl. Now coming to the next one, the last one, that is tuberous root. Now in the tuberous root, no definite shape is there. No definite shape is there, or you can say they are irregular in shape. Irregular in shape. One example for this is 4 o'clock plant. 4 o'clock plant, that is Mirabilis jalapa. Right? तो ये हुई 3 तरह की root on the basis of the storage. So quite simple here. Here what is the shape of the root? Storage root, cone shape. In this case it is fusiform, spindle shape. Here almost spherical, subspherical condition is there, and here irregular shape is there. So this was the first category. Now I will be dealing with the taproot for the purpose of the respiration. The roots which are involved in the respiration, they can simply be known as respiratory roots. They are also known as pneumatophores. They are also known as aerophores. Now the respiratory roots, they are present in the mangrove plants. Now mangrove plants, they grow in marshy areas. You know that in the marshy areas, water content in the soil is very high. Due to the high water content in the soil there is almost anaerobic condition. So they grow in marshy areas. Soil के अंदर water content ज़्यादा है. And this results in almost anaerobic conditions. अब सॉइल के अंदर अनएरोबिक कंडीशंस हैं और रूट्स को सरवाइव करने के लिए ऑक्सीजन की रिक्वायरमेंट है. सो नाउ व्हाट विल हैपन? सो सम ऑफ द रूट्स इन द मैंग्रोव प्लांट, दे ग्रो अबव द सॉइल. Yes, they come out of the soil. They are negatively geotropic and they come out of the soil just for obtaining the oxygen. Such type of the roots, they are known as the respiratory roots. Now here I am forming one diagram to explain these respiratory roots. तो ये मैंने मैंग्रोव प्लांट बनाया. दिस इज इनसाइड द सॉइल और इनसाइड द सॉइल ये जो मैंने रूट्स बनाई हुई हैं, ये जो फैली हुई हैं, दीज आर केबल रूट्स विच आर गोइंग टू प्रोवाइड द सपोर्ट टू द प्लांट. तो ये मैंने हॉरिजॉन्टल केबल रूट्स बनाई हैं. बट सम ऑफ द रूट्स ऑल्सो दे ग्रो आउट ऑफ द सॉइल लाइक दिस. तो आप देख रहे हैं ये जो कुछ रूट्स हैं ये नेगेटिवली जियोट्रॉपिक हैं. ये जो नेगेटिवली जियोट्रॉपिक रूट्स है इनके ऊपर प्रेजेंट है एक थिक कवरिंग दैट इज नोन एज कॉर्की लेयर. यस, तो इन रूट्स के ऊपर आप बनाइए एक थिक कवरिंग. This is corky layer. Now what is the function of the root? That is involved in the gaseous exchange. पर यहां पर हमने क्या कहा कि रूट के ऊपर थिक लेयर है. तो सिंपल सी बात है कि इस रूट के ऊपर कुछ पोर्स होने चाहिए जो गैसियस एक्सचेंज में इन्वॉल्व हो. सो ऑन दी दिस पार्ट ऑफ द रूट, दैट इज द अपर पार्ट, there is presence of pores. Yes, upper part की तरफ pores present है. These spores, they are involved in the gaseous exchange, and these spores, they are known as lenticels, or they are also known as pneumatothores. And this is very much clear. So these spores which are involved in the gaseous exchange, these spores, they are known as the lenticels. Now you have to answer this question here, whether these roots, they are with the root cap or they are without root cap. Yes, in these roots, the root cap is absent. That's why we can say that the root cap is a non-universal feature. So you can add down here one more exception. Here, that is the pneumatophores, the root cap as well as the root hair association is absent. इस root का काम water absorption नहीं है, so the root hairs, they are absent. So I can cite few examples of the plant where these roots, they are present. One example you write here, that is Avicennia. Another one is Soneraceae. So after the respiratory roots, now I will be dealing with the next category, that is the roots for the purpose of nitrogen fixation. The roots which are involved in the nitrogen fixation, they are nodulated roots, and the nodulated roots, they are present in the leguminous plant. Yes, leguminous plant के अंदर ये roots present होंगी. Like one example I am writing here, that is sisal, that is black gram. Another one is pisum, that is pea. तो leguminous plant के अंदर ये roots होंगी. So in the leguminous plant, I am forming this root system. So here, this is the primary root. These are the secondary roots. और इससे arise हो रही है ये tertiary roots. ये जो tertiary roots है, इसके ऊपर present है root nodules. Secondary roots and tertiary roots, generally इनके ऊपर present होते हैं root nodules. You have studied in the previous classes that in the root nodules there is presence of a bacteria which is involved in the nitrogen fixation. In root nodules के अंदर present है bacteria जो nitrogen fixation करेगा. Yes, this example is known to you. This is rhizobium. Rhizobium is involved in nitrogen fixation. Right? Now after this, next category, that is reproductive roots. And here the example for this is Dalbergia. Dalbergia siso, that is shisham. Another example we can write here, that is populus. Now you know that bud, that is the embryonic shoot, bud is generally the feature of stem, but sometimes the bud is also associated with the root. अगर root के ऊपर bud present है, तो आप ऐसी bud को कहेंगे radical bud, and this radical bud surely after the development it can form the shoot system, helps in the formation of the new plant. तो ये जो bud है development के बाद ये बनाएगी new plant, इससे बनेगा new plant, and this is how it can be involved in the reproduction. Right? So after dealing with the modification of the taproots, let's study now the modification of the adventitious one.